Over time, hopefully, we can move to a position where borders are completely open. Persuading skeptics won't be easy. That's why I think the argument for free migration has to be made at several levels. A principled case, it increases freedom and reduces injustice. A humanitarian case, it helps people much poorer than ourselves. An economic case, it makes us richer. And a pragmatic case, it is inevitable, so it is in everyone's interest to make the best of it. Freedom of movement is not just a matter of human rights and international solidarity.
A picture with data of economic growth percentage. Over the past 20 years, the economy in Latin America developed by 80%. After globalization and reform, the growth slowed down to 10%. People were asking why and start to consider if the reform is positive or not. The growth rate of economy was even slower than that before the reform. It is not sustained at all. The poverty rate, which was at $2 per day, has increased.
No, Mandeville spoke is not really about actually real foreign lands. It's about what Europeans thought that was just outside the bounds of their civilizations. It's about what's beyond that mountain range that marks the borders of the lands you know. It's about what medieval people thought the foreign looks like. And all of it is mysterious, alluring, and intimidating unknown.
As a farming technique in West Africa can convert nutrient-poor rainforest soil into fertile farmland. Researchers discovered enduringly fertile, carbon-rich black soils named African dark earths, and similar soils in pre-Columbian eras have also been discovered, although the techniques are unknown. So researchers in the West Africa study were able to live within communities as they created their fertile soils, which could be the answer to mitigating climate change and revolutionizing farming across Africa.
Nutrition science is a very young science, and someday the field may produce definitive answers to the nutritional questions that concern us, but it knows a lot less about nutrition than you would expect because it only got started less than 200 years ago and is today approximately where surgery was in the year 1650.
With early silent movies often accompanied by live piano or organ music, audiences captivated by the experience of watching moving pictures on the silver screen, and it wasn't until 1923 that a synchronized soundtrack was photographically recorded and printed onto the side of the strip of motion picture film and made it onto a commercially distributed movie, and the first movie theaters were called Nickelodeons.
People have evolved to sleep much less because humans' ancestors descended from the trees to sleep on the ground, having to spend more time awake to guard against predators, and another feature may reflect intense pressure humans face to learn and teach new skills and to make social connections. As sleep declined, rapid eye movement took on an outsized role, but REM has been linked to learning and memory.
People differ greatly in all aspects of what is casually known as intelligence. The differences are apparent not only in school, from kindergarten to college, but also in the most ordinary circumstances, in the words people use and comprehend, in the differing abilities to read a map or follow directions, or in their capacities for remembering telephone numbers or figuring change. The variations in these specific skills are so common that they are often taken for disabled people were among the early adopters of personal computers, for some of which, information in electronic format can be more accessible than printed information, and online communication can enable disabled students to communicate with their peers on an equal basis, so people's disabilities are not necessarily visible in online communication systems, and disabled people do not have to declare the disability and are not perceived as being different. The importance of international studies and foreign language education for U.S. Economic and National Security Committee for Economic Development. To confront the 21st century challenges to our economy and national security, our education system must be strengthened to increase the foreign language skills and cultural awareness of our students.
Honey, with the same functions as drugs used by athletes for high athletic performance and less negative impact, has a milder effect on blood sugar than other popular forms of carbohydrate gel, and speeds muscle recovery after a workout. Delivering packages with drones will scale back CO2 emissions if the drones haven't got to fly terribly way to their destinations, while the carbon edges erode because the weight of a package increase, but trucks become a lot of climate-friendly various once a delivery route has several stops. Although some brands stay fresh for generations, Marmite is over 100 years old, others become jaded due to changes in consumer tastes and lifestyles. At this point, the firms need to refresh the brand image to keep the products relevant to the target market. A clear objective must be set. Every year, up to 8,000 qualified and experienced women and men of some 160 different nationalities volunteer to help others at the United Nations Volunteers (UNV) program. Moreover, these UN volunteers work in some 130 countries promoting peace, responding to disasters, empowering communities and helping to build sustainable livelihoods and lasting development. And lastly, being a UN volunteer is not a career, but it is rich with opportunities and experience and offers huge personal rewards.
Disabled people were among the early adopters of personal computers. They were quick to appreciate that word processing programs and printers gave them freedom from dependence on others to read and write for them. Some of these disabled early adopters became very knowledgeable about what could be achieved and used their knowledge to become independent students at a high level.